Yesterday, somebody approached me, asked me a question about my experience with the Subha practice and the value of it. A Subha meaning kind of the, as opposed to Subha, kind of the reflection of the unbeautiful nature which we largely apply in our practice to the body. As a method to reduce attachment to the body, passion, lust, these kind of things, and it's in our tradition, in the Thai forest tradition, and the Buddha speaks highly of this reflection, to stick with it, to continually work at it. And all the different permutations that it can manifest as being extremely beneficial in our practice going forward. And as when monks first ordain, it's the practice that is taught on the ordination day, the reflection of the 5 parts of the body that are, visible on the outside: the hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. This outer shell of this body that we look at and that we may find pleasing, attractive, and we tend to build stories and attachments around this, just what we see on the outside, and the encouragement is to look past that just that little shell that may seem appealing and beautiful, maybe handsome or whatever, and see that there's once you take the skin off of a human body, you may think it's beautiful, but then without the skin, suddenly it becomes a kind of a horror story, and the body's, filled with all these different components that keep it alive: muscles and blood and sinews and organs, different fluids, excrement. They're all in there, It's and so just to realize that it's certainly that the body is not something to develop aversion for. We need this body to exist in this realm. It's an anchor to this realm, a place for the consciousness to dwell, to be connected to. It's our vehicle. We need it for practice. We need it just to exist, but to just see it as just that much, and not to build all these elaborate stories and attachments that people have been doing since for beginningless time around the body, and just to see it as something that is. That has arose out of conditions, and since it's something that has arisen out of conditions, it's something that will at some point in time cease, and it can't be kept, it can't be maintained for any length of time. Is something that we do have a certain modicum of control over, but at the same time there's so much of it is totally beyond our will to control it. We keep breathing, our hearts keep pounding, the blood keeps flowing, food digests, and it has a autonomous life of its own, and we can kind of direct it around a bit, but it still is of its own nature largely. And we certainly need to take care of it, and seeing it as a useful supremely useful thing to have, but realizing that this body does not have any, as the Buddha would say, it's lacking a self. It's something that we don't fully control. The body gets sick. The body will age. Changes will happen. Injuries, all these things, and we just can't will the body to do whatever we want. So has to be a measure of kind of a sober holding of what the body really is. And I think, if we do that over time, thoroughly, in a depth of understanding that is like beyond just an intellectual understanding, which, I think we all understand that someday we're all going to die here. And we know we have all these different parts of our body inside, and all these different things are going on with our body, but it's largely an intellectual understanding. And I think what the Buddha was pointing at and the Krupa Ajahns are pointing at is a different kind of understanding that's more visceral, more that gets more to the heart of what it really means to have a body, and what it means that this body will at some point die. And it's sometimes I hear people, monks sometimes, just talking about, I'm tired of doing a Sutta practice. I think I've had enough of this. I'm ready to move on to something more sophisticated, something more challenging, more engaging. But it really seems like the advice I've encountered from the Krupa Ajahns is like, no, you're not really done with it, and that this is Sutta practice of examining the body is something that can take one all the way to stream entry, and it's kind of maybe the hallmark practice of getting one to stream entry, and so that you can see that the significance of this practice can't be taken lightly. And I guess also just to reinforce the sense of having dispassion for the body, and maybe a more sober view of the body isn't really, it's not intended to be aversion for the body, a sense of unwholesome aversion towards the body, but it's just something to see for what it really is, and with more equanimity, and without those unwholesome states of mind. That's a good indicator where it's at in your practice. Anyway, if you find any of this useful, please reflect on this and on this.